Hello, my peeps, and welcome to another Power Packed Phillips podcast.
Uh-oh.
Remember, we will be starting the FCAT on Monday, April 15th. The first day of FCAT, you would do both math parts. The second day of FCAT, April 16th, you will do reading part 1. Wednesday, the 17th, you will do reading part 2. Thursday, the 18th, you will do both parts of the science. Friday, makeup if you were absent. MSAs for today's podcasts. Don't forget your new EOC review packet is due on Monday. Every problems 1 through 10, have been worked out and they are posted in Blackboard for your viewing pleasure. There will be no after-school tutoring today with Mr. Phillips. Alrighty, let's jet to it. Today's podcast is going to be on lesson 9.8. We are wrapping up factoring, and today's podcast we're talking about factoring by grouping. So if you would, please take a moment to write down this polynomial, x cubed minus 6 plus 2x minus 3x squared. If you notice in this polynomial, the terms are not in order from biggest exponent to the smallest exponent. So look at your exponents. Here's your exponent of 3. Here's Casper, our friendly ghost. That's an exponent of 1. And here's an exponent of 2. And over here, there's no exponent. The exponents should be in order from biggest to smallest. So the first thing we should do is write the polynomial so that the exponents are in order from biggest to smallest. So this is an exponent of 3, it'll go first. This is an exponent of 2, it'll go second. This is an exponent of 1, it'll go third. This does not have an exponent, this will go fourth. So always make sure that your exponents when you're factoring are in order from biggest to smallest. Now the terms are in order with the exponent from biggest to smallest. We're going to pretend for a moment that our original problem is a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms. If it's 3 terms, I can put my parentheses and work it like we have been. But notice the problem has 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. The problem has 4 terms, not 3. 1 term, 2 term, 3 terms, 4 terms. So we cannot work it this way. This is only for a trinomial. We cannot work it the regular way. So since there are 4 terms, we are going to go Fruit Ninja style on this problem. And for the Fruit Ninja, we are going to split the polynomial down the middle, and we are going to rewrite the expression so we can find things that they have in common. We're going to rewrite it so we can find things they have in common. So let's rewrite the left side of our polynomial. X to the third power would be x times x times x. You have 3 of them. Don't forget to bring down your subtraction sign or negative. This would be 3 times x times x. Now we're going to rewrite the expression over here on the right side. Remember we did Fruit Ninja, and we're going to look for things that they have in common. So I'm just going to cover up the left side so we're not distracted. 2x would be 2 times x. I'm going to bring down my addition or positive sign. I'm going to bring down my subtraction sign, and I'm thinking, how can I make 6? Well, I could do 1 times 6, or I could do 2 times 3. Remember, we're trying to find things that they have in common. So I'm thinking we should rewrite 6 as 2 times 3, because now I can say that they have a 2 in common. If I do it the other way, and I say, well, I'm going to rewrite this as 1 times 6. Remember, I was looking for things that they have in common. There's nothing here in common, so I don't want to use the 1 times 6. So are we good here on why we multiply 2 times 3 to make the 6 so they have something in common, which would be the 2?
Yes!
All right, then we can go on. Now, I'm going to look at the left side of my polynomial. They are BFFs. So, what things do the BFFs have in common? What things do the BFFs have in common? Well, I see that they both share, they have in common, x times x. Remember that we're going to put what's left over in parentheses. So, remember our shirt, I love leftovers. We have an x left over, we have a minus or negative, and we have a 3 left over. So leftovers go inside the parentheses. Now, can we write x times x another way? Can we write x times x another way?
Wow!
Yes, you are correct. We can write x times x as x squared. So that's what we have so far. Are you ready for a brain break yet?
Yes!
All right, here we go. Today's brain break. Seems like a lot of work just to get a sheep to me. Probably would have been easier just to go to the store and buy one. Now let's look at the right side of our polynomial. Ask yourself, what do the BFFs have in common? Well, they both have the number 2 in common. So I'm going to stick the number 2 out here, what they have in common. I love leftovers. Leftovers go inside the parentheses. So we have an x, we have a subtraction or a negative, and we have a 3. So we're going to put our leftovers here inside the parentheses. Now, we had x squared on the left side, that's what they had in common, parentheses, leftovers, x minus 3. On the right side, we had 2 because that's what they had in common, parentheses, x minus 3. Notice that on the left side we have x minus 3, and on the right side we have x minus 3. Remember, we said in this podcast we were going to factor by grouping, so we are going to group the x minus 3 together, and we write it one time. So you can think of this x minus 3 as Clark Kent. You can think of this x minus 3 as Superman. They are really the same person. So we group these together, the x minus 3, because they are the same. We write it one time. I love leftovers. So we put another set of parentheses, and we ask ourselves, what is left over? What is left over? Well, on the left side, we have x squared left over. On the right side, we have 2 left over, and that is a positive 2. So write your leftovers inside the parentheses. So we have x squared left over. We have a positive or a plus, and we have a 2 left over. Now, you are going to FOIL this. When you FOIL this, you should get x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x minus 6. That's what we started with. So that concludes our podcast on factoring by grouping. You should be so good at it during the EOC that you will be able to yodel.
YOLO, hee hee. YOLO, 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 hee hee.